Ooh, what's good, Commanders fans? Super quick video. This is going to be quick because it is the morning. I got to get going and get ready for today. But there's a lot of topics to talk about. I guess this is kind of like a Monday morning news dump, especially since we did not play yesterday on Sunday. And we have this mini bye or pseudo bye coming this week coming up. But so there was some little news that was sprinkled out. So let's start off with Jayden Daniels here. Jay Glazer said that Jayden Daniels is day to day with his knee. Going to take a look at him tomorrow, which is today. Also, JP Finlay tweeted out. Where's the tweet at? He said, I just had the tweet up too. I don't know where it went. But basically, he reiterated what Grant Paulson said. And he said, he said Dan Quinn will address reporters at 3:30 on Monday. Grant Paulson has reported Jayden had an MRI. From what I hear, there are some concerns, but not major. So that is good news. That is positive news from JP Finlay. He said, I'd expect news from Dan Quinn, if not before, and Jayden will likely miss some practice time. So he'll probably be a DNP today if they have practice. Wednesday's usually the biggest day. Not the biggest day. Friday's usually the biggest day. But actually, sometimes people say Wednesday's the biggest day because that's like the first initial injury report. And then Friday may be like a walkthrough. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are obviously big days. I think Brock Bowers is actually going to play tonight too. That's pretty big news too for the matchup against the Raiders. That I think he's going to play. Before I thought Brock Bowers was not going to play, but to stay on Jayden Daniels, was it a hip drop tackle? It looked like it. The only reason why I don't think they called a hip drop was because, and one thing I will say as well, watching a lot of the games this weekend, yesterday. Like some of the roughing the passers that were called on Pat Mahomes and Dak Prescott, like a lot of those could have been called against Jayden Daniels. Like Micah was late hitting Jayden at least 3 times, and I'm not gonna complain. I don't like to complain about the refs, but it is what it is, man. They let the Packers get away with a lot of hits on Jayden Daniels. Yes, our offensive line wasn't great. Yes, they gave up a bunch of pressures. Josh Connolly gave a bunch of pressures on Thursday night, but at the same time, like the refs did not ease up, or the Packers didn't ease up on hit. And I get it, it's football. But if you're going to call the rules the way it is and be soft, like every time we hit, like in the preseason, like when Dietrich Wise had a hit on somebody or on Joe Burrow, it wasn't a hit. But just for example, like a lot of times we hit players or the Bobby Wagner hit, which I thought was some ridiculous, but that's just the rule. The rule is the rule. So if you're going to call it a certain way and that's the rule now, and Jayden's get hit late, or 2 or 3 seconds later he's getting hit, but Pat Mahomes 2 seconds later he gets hit and they immediately throw a flag. I just want to see consistency. If you're going to make it a soft league, then make it a soft league. Don't make it a tough league for Jayden Daniels and then other quarterbacks get hit and you immediately throw a flag. So that's just my gripe there. But was it a hip drop by number 55? I can't remember the guy's name for the Packers who did the hip drop tackle on Jayden Daniels. But yeah, it basically was. I think just because he was already low, like people when they usually start high and then drop and tackle, that's typically when they call it. But number 55 was kind of already low to the ground when he did it. And then Montez Sweat did a hip drop tackle on Jayden last year. They didn't call it either. And it just comes with the territory with dual threat quarterbacks. You know, it happens, unfortunately. They don't really call stuff for guys that run frequently like Jayden does. So, but to make a long story short, we really just had to wait till what they say on 3:30. But at the same time, Dan Quinn, he hides injuries. Noah Brown did not disclose. I'm not gonna say hide, but he does not disclose. He's not the only one that doesn't disclose injuries. All these coaches don't disclose injuries, and they don't have to. But Jayden played with a broken rib, and they knew his ribs were broken. They did not disclose that information last year. They knew his ribs were broken going to that Philly game, and honestly, I didn't think Jayden was going to play in that Bears game when he broke his ribs. In the Panthers game, I would have sat him out if it were me. I just didn't think he was going to be looking good the next week. And that was just my opinion last year. But he played through it and he played well. He threw the Hail Mary and all that and pushed through it. He had some bad games, he had some good games, but he eventually pushed through it. So they're knowing this regime and staff, we'll see. I'm not going to speculate, but we'll see what the MRI says. And I think if it's a legitimate, significantly season-ending, it's not going to be season-ending. But if it's like one of those, you have to disclose it. But Noah Brown, like since it was training camp, they didn't disclose what his knee injury was. It looks like I don't know what's going on with Noah Brown now, but they had to disclose the injury with him and John Bates and a couple other guys too that got hurt. So we'll see, guys. We'll see what Dan Quinn says at 3:30. But all right, I want to get to some other stuff, but let's get a quick word from Sleeper. What's good, Commanders fans? Just wanted to give you guys a great deal with the promo code Oliver for Sleeper. Make sure you guys check out the Sleeper app. First time users, you get a 100% deposit match up to $100 for your first time using Sleeper. Sleeper is a great fantasy app for all sports, especially the NFL, for more or less on player projections. You pick the more or less on the projections, like Terry McLaurin. Receptions, you can pick the more on that for 4.5 receptions on Sunday against the Giants. I'm taking more on that. And they also have great deals. Joe Burrow, Pat Mahomes, they have free squares, more than half a pass yards. They're going to step on the field and get that. So make sure you guys check out Sleeper. Also on Sleeper, you have a chance to 1,000 times your cash on daily fantasy football on Sleeper. Check it out. Terms and conditions apply. So the pick, like I said, I'm giving for you guys on Sleeper is Terry McLaurin, more than 4.5 receptions, and then take the free square with Joe Burrow, more of a half a passing yard, which is just insane. It's just a great deal that they're giving. Free money, a free play that they're giving on Sleeper. A great deal. Terms and conditions apply on Sleeper. Like I said, first time users, 100% deposit match up to $100. Click on the link down below in the description and use promo code Oliver. Let's get back to the video. Peace. All right, but yeah, like I said, to make a long story short, we'll see. He was limping pretty good, but I said in my previous video too that we've seen him limp before, and then he'll go out on Sunday and get 100 yards rushing. But we haven't really seen him get a lower leg injury like this. Like when he got folded up against the Falcons, he got right back up and played. He didn't limp after that, but this, he limped pretty good after this. So we'll see what happens, guys. Hoping for the best. A lot of people have talked about Marcus Mariota. I do think Marcus Mariota is capable of going out and beating the Raiders. The Raiders are not a juggernaut. They're a darn good team, don't get me wrong, but they're not a juggernaut. And I think that Marcus Mariota could go out there and win. It would probably be an ugly game, like a 20-16 type of game, something like that. But I think Marcus Mariota could go out there and win the game. I really do. I think he could go out there and win. We are 6-point favorites already against the Raiders, which I think is a little high after the performance. I would say like 5. Actually, 6. I would say like 4 or something like that would be about right. But once again, like this weekend, this Sunday, yesterday confirmed that the Packers are legit because look what the Lions did to the Bears. Like we just lost to the best team in the NFL. You look at the Eagles versus the Chiefs, the Packers are the better team, guys. And I said this. I was like, if you look at one, it's only been 2 games. I get it. But through 2 games, the Packers look like the best team in the NFL. They just do. They look like the best team in the NFL. Jordan Love does what he needs to do. Michael Parsons is a very good player, and their defense plays very well. They don't have a lot of big names at the cornerback position, but they shut our guys down. They shut our guys down. All right, so let's move on to Bill here. So Bill apparently has a new role per Ian Rappaport. Ian Rappaport said that Bill will be the team's featured back moving forward following Austin Eckler missing the season with an Achilles tear. Probably should have been that way to begin with, but they love their veterans, and you got to prove it. You got to earn it. And they were featuring Austin Eckler more in the Packers game, which they should have gave the ball to Bill more. I think Bill, what he averaged, like 4 yards per carry versus the Packers. So, I mean, we just didn't get much of a run game anyway. And we didn't commit to it either. Like, I think Cliff kind of gave up on it a little too quickly. It wasn't Cliff's best game. It wasn't the coaching staff's best game anyway. But, yeah, Bill had he had like 1 or 2 good runs against the Packers. Let me look at his stats real quick. Because he just didn't get a lot of opportunities against the Packers. And they shut down the run game. They shut down Jahmyr Gibbs. They shut down David Montgomery. Like, you got to tip your cap to the Packers, man. They're a darn good team, man. I'm intrigued to see if they can keep it up, though. Yeah, Bill had 4 carries for 17 yards. So not great either. Like, also actually had 8 for 17. So he had like 3 or 4 yards. He had 4 yards per, probably like 4.1 yards per carry. Yeah, but only 4 is inexcusable, especially after you win Rookie of the Week. Like, Austin Eckler should not get 8 carries and Bill 4. Like, Bill should get at least 10 to 15 carries per game. I'm intrigued to see C-Rod. I want to see what C-Rod does. If he gets elevated, he's going to have to. McNichols is probably going to get some carries as well, but Bill should have been the featured guy anyway. So this is just good news to hear this from Ian Rappaport. And then lastly, I do want to talk about Demetric Felton. So the Commanders did work out Demetric Felton. He was on the roster before in preseason. He actually had some good runs. Like, he had a 28-yard run against the Patriots. He's elusive. He's explosive. He's more of a receiver back. Went to UCLA. UCLA guy, and I'm intrigued to see what he does. I mean, he's had some good games in the league. I know this was 2021, but Demetric Felton had a game against the Houston Texans where he had 2 catches for 51 yards. He also had and a touchdown in that game, and he also had a game against the Cincinnati Bengals where he had 2 catches for 18 yards and a touchdown. He had a 33-yard catch in a game against the Texans as well. And he does have some. He's a former 6th-round pick, 27 years old, 5'9", 190 pounds, quick, elusive, shifty. Had one of the worst RAS scores in history. He was ranked 2,289 out of 2,517 wide receivers from 1987 to 2021. The Senior Bowl, he blew up. He blew up in the Senior Bowl. He had a 31.5-inch vertical, which is pretty average. It's bad. And his 40-yard dash was a 4.59. For a receiver / running back, and you're 5'8" or 5'9", 4.5, 4.6, 40-yard dash is pretty awful. But sometimes, the 40-yard dash doesn't really match on-field play. So that's the thing about it. But he was ranked 2,289 out of 2,517 wide receivers in the RAS score, which is really, really, really bad. But he was a 6th-round pick. And he can play, man. He's decent. Now, Donovan Edwards, will he get a chance? Will he get elevated? We'll see. Doesn't look like it. But maybe throughout the season, we'll see if he does get an opportunity. I want to see him get an opportunity as well. Out of Michigan, and we got him from the Jets. So, but I do like Demetric Felton. There's a couple other running backs that are free agents that I feel like maybe we should take a look at. Jadeveon Clowney was signed by the Cowboys, which is disappointing. I thought we should have been more assertive and got him. But the Cowboys signed him right after they basically should have lost to the Giants. And I got to tip my cap to the Giants. They played hard, man. They should have won that game. Brandon Aubrey just made a 60-yard kick, which is insane, and our guy can't make a 52. Matt Gay, he's awful. He's really bad, and he's a disappointment. He is a bust of a signing. And Adam Peters, he just can't get the kicker spot right. He just can't. He's really bad at it. That's like one critique. I mean, I guess out of all the critiques, if you're going to critique him about signing a kicker, then that's not terrible, but he is awful. Like that's one critique I will give Adam. He's awful at signing and evaluating kickers. He really is. I don't know if Larry Izzo is involved in this too, but they've been awful at signing kickers so far. So I think that's about it. To sum it up for the news dump, Demetric Felton worked out. They probably will sign him back. Bill's the #1 back now, which is good news. Hopefully they elevate C-Rod and let him rock and let him play. Jayden Daniels, we're just waiting on that MRI. We'll see what happens. But JP Finley said it's not bad news, not a major concern. So that is positive news there. And the Eagles won. They hung on for dear life. Jalen Hurts had an Alex Smith performance once again. The Giants, that win is not as terrible as people say. Like, that's a legit win. They should have beat the Cowboys. They really should have beat them. Malik Neighbors is a dog, and Russell Wilson turned back the clock. But I don't know if you guys saw the guy, James Hudson, the offensive tackle, who was like slapping people in the face as he got benched. That was hilarious. The tackle for the Giants. I did see that. And Trayvon Diggs was getting cooked, man. The Cowboys secondary is bad. Their secondary is not good at all. So we should really beat them for sure this season. I mean, we already knew that anyway. But like I said, it confirmed that people who are doom and gloom about the Packers loss, like, we ran into a really, really, really good team. And let's see what the Raiders do tonight and see what happens with that and how they play and scout them. And then we got to wait on Jayden Daniels news at 3:30. So, all right, Chess, as always, Hello Commanders. Peace.